Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lee Hornick, and I'm the Director of Membership for MASB. And I've been doing this for the last 2 years, enjoying it. And I'm very thrilled that you're here today. And I'm real thrilled that we can focus on deriving value from sports marketing, rapid change. And I'm really pleased that Travis Dillon could be with us today. He's the Senior VP of Marketing for the world champion Texas Rangers from 2023, correct?
Yeah.
That's a great accomplishment, by the way. And also, I want to give you some facts. The value of the Texas Rangers now is $2.4 billion. That's pretty impressive, and he's responsible for that brand, right? Absolutely. It was bought in 2010. Almost 600 million. So I think that's a really good investment, right? And he's in charge of that. Travis Dillon joined the Texas Rangers as the Vice President of Marketing in September of 2018 and was promoted to Senior VP of Marketing in January 2023. He leads the marketing team responsibility for brand and creative, fan insights, media buying, social media, influencer marketing, digital marketing, content, brand identity, multicultural marketing, event marketing, fan engagement, and fan growth. That is one portfolio. Congratulations. He joined the Rangers after 13 years with the agency called Marketing Arm, where he was the senior VP on the AT&T account responsible for managing and activating the portfolio of sponsorship properties, both domestically and abroad. Prior to that, he worked at Tracy Locke, Jack Morton, and Ogilvy, where he was the account service team for Pepsi, Taco Bell, and Chevrolet, as well as General Motors, Mattel, FedEx, and Visa. And he started his career, which is kind of interesting, in country music television. Wow, that's really fun, right?
I go to school in Nashville and just kind of.
Yeah. And I'm thrilled that he could be with us today. And also, he's going to be part of the panel afterwards. And we're going to have a group discussion on more challenges and what keeps these people up at night and why are they successful, why they still have their jobs. That's even more important, right? Anyway, here's Travis. Travis.
Thank you. Also, a shout out to the NCAA committee for scheduling Vanderbilt's game tomorrow, not today at 2:15. Otherwise, I might have my second screen streaming our first tournament game in several years. So, but thank you guys for having me. Really, what I want to do is just kind of take you guys on a bit of a journey of the time that I've been at the Rangers and the journey that our brand has been on during that time. So as mentioned, joined in September of 2018, so the very end of Beltre's last season with the Rangers. I got to see his last game. Was basically my first game at the Rangers. Was about this, I think the Sunday before the Wednesday I started was his last home game with the Rangers. And so that's kind of where this journey begins. So at that point, going into the 2019 season, the Rangers brand was almost 50 years old at that time. An established brand, loyal fan base, and a pretty predictable and consistent brand identity that everybody kind of knew and recognized. The brand wasn't in a bad place, but we were at a crossroads. Sports was at a crossroads, and as most of you guys, if anyone who follows Major League Baseball, this is kind of the beginning of the crossroads for Major League Baseball. The length of the game, is it relevant to younger fans? And we were seeing those same things, looking at our core fan base, looking at our season ticket members. And so we started to think, how do we start to appeal to a younger, more diverse fan base, kind of our next generation of fans, but without alienating that core group that's been with us, some for that entire 47, 48 years at that point. And so, but still having to look to the future of what our where our business is going. When you look at our DMA at that time and today, almost 30% of our marketing territory, our DFW being the real concentration of that is Hispanic, which was a 30% rise from 2012 into that. If we look at 2012 to 22, 30% increase there. We're seeing the younger, people moving into the DFW area. DFW is getting younger, it's getting more diverse. So we had a choice to make. And that choice was, do we want to lead or do we want to follow? And we chose to lead. And the great part about this is all of this coincided with the opening of our brand new ballpark. State-of-the-art ballpark, retractable roof, phenomenal naming rights partner that helped make it happen. And so the mindset organizationally was, how do we look to the future? We've got this brand new ballpark that's going to really set the tone for us. So the timing was right for us to think about the next chapter for our brand as well. So how do we do this? Well, we did it strategically. We did it methodically. And the challenge we've given ourselves along the way is that we have to earn the right to take the next step. We weren't going to scratch the needle off the record, do something extreme, that every step we took was going to be calculated, and we weren't going to take the next step until we had earned that right. And that's like a kind of a mantra for us, is did we earn the right to do this? So we look at the new ballpark, we started from the inside out. We started to collaborate with diverse and local artists, all Texas-based. Every piece of artwork you see in that ballpark is a Texas-based artist, and we were really intentional to make those artist choices local and diverse. So you started to see the manifestation of our brand in a way you'd never seen it before, starting with the ballpark. The second thing was we looked at on the field in 2020, and we wanted to refresh what you saw on the field. So we wanted to look to the future with what the guys were going to be wearing in the field, but also give a little bit of a tip of the cap to the past. So what you saw was bringing back the Rangers script on the chest and the powder blue uniforms that were one of the most popular uniforms that we had. And we would only wear them on throwback days, and kept hearing from our fans, why did we not wear them more often? So we decided what better way to do that when we're opening this new ballpark, to reintroduce some of those pieces. So here's a little piece that we rolled out when we did that. So you talk about an evolution. I watched this video. I hadn't watched it forever. I think one of these guys is still a Major League Baseball. We were in a bit of a transition ourselves on the field as well, right? I think Joey Gallo is now claiming he's going to be a pitcher. So, but it was a fun time for us to kind of reimagine ourselves a bit. So then you fast forward a couple years later into our 50th anniversary. And this again gave us another opportunity to not only celebrate the past 50 years, but really start looking to what the next 50 will look like. And that was really, I would say, equal parts of our messaging was looking back and celebrating, but also looking forward as well. So you'll see this was what we kicked off that season with, was this piece. And then next I'm going to show you how we ended the season, and you'll see how different they felt. And then I'll kind of show you how we got there.
50 years. Some things never change. Resilience, toughness, pride. 50 seasons of the great game played right here in Texas, and 50 years of searching, striving. Some things never change until they do. The next generation is here. The direction is clear. Straight up, Texas.
As you can see, we look back, you've got Tom Grieve, Mr. Ranger himself, voicing this over with a nod to, that was great, unfinished business, the next is here. And then this is how we ended the season, kind of the bookend to that at the end of our 50th season.
Well, that was fun. The party is done. 50 years of Rangers baseball, no small feat, you know the story. We took America's pastime from the nation's seat, 1972. A new team, the dream, a reality. Cowboy hats like these guys have never seen. Turn the page. The 80s express, the 90s success, the millennium regress. Turn the page. We went young, we got young. We struck deals, fields, and hills. We gotta go. Ran it back. A ball hit to the track. Turn the page. Close the doors, then the roof. A chill, new thrills, turn the page. 50 years over the past, but not the end. Let the next 50 Ranger seasons begin. Fresh start, blank space, with strong pieces in place. We're not through, there's work to do. Start the clock, watch our stock, y'all. This hope feels different, but the aim is still the same. Win that last dang game, so stir your imagination. Embrace the anticipation, let's earn a celebration. The arrow is up. Are you down?
Very different, right? Very different tone, very different feel. Spoken word piece by an artist who goes by the name Black Caesar. So very different voice, very different tone and style than Tom Grieve, Mr. Ranger that everybody knew and loved and was familiar with, right? So how did we get there? Again, earning the right. So you saw the jacket he was wearing as we did a collab with a local fashion company called By Way of Dallas. And they're a small group that just does, they literally do merch drops. They don't have brick and mortar. We found them and their whole initiative, their whole goal is just bringing Dallas together. So it's just a great message and a great foundation that their brand is built on. So we decided to collab with them. This will be the 4th year that we'll collab with them this year. And you can see, the coordinates on the sleeves of the coordinates of home plate at the ballpark, reiterating that's our home. And then you see the old block tee from 72, but done a way that you've never seen it before. And so this was massively popular. Every year it's been popular. It's been done as a merch drop. We've not seen other teams, the Mavs, the Cowboys, some other teams have also partnered with these guys as well. And so for us, it was just a really nice way to express ourselves in a way that you just hadn't seen us do before, and allowed us to be relevant and speak to that younger fan in a way that maybe we hadn't. And for them to kind of cock their head to the side and say, okay, maybe I'll pay attention to what's happening in Arlington. Like, this isn't my mom and dad's or grandparents' Rangers. Like, there's something here for me too, right? So again, earning that right. And then, as we mentioned, over a third of our community is Hispanic. And of that, over 80% of it is Mexican. And so as we looked at the importance of celebrating these fans, we needed to do it more than 2 nights a year. So when I got to the Rangers, we did a really nice job of Hispanic Heritage Weekend. And we had a Mexican Heritage Night and Hispanic Heritage Night in September. Other than that, it was a business as usual, wash, rinse, repeat, and how we marketed ourselves. So one of the challenges we had is, how do we make this really important and growing part of our community feel welcome here for 81 games a year and not 2 games a year. And so one of the things that we did in 22 is we created the Mariachi de los Texas Rangers. And this mariachi group has now become one of the most popular pieces of our in-game presentation. We have a Mariachi Monday, which is a ticket offer, and they'll do extended performances on Mondays. We have them perform at other events. They've now like started to get booked out for people to hire them for private performances, but they want them in the Rangers gear. And so they've really started to build a really nice name for themselves. But again, this was, how do we make sure that our Hispanic and most importantly, our Mexican fans understand that we get them? We see them, we hear them, they're important to us more than just those heritage type moments. We also started to add a much more diverse playlist and our in-game presentation, our fan engagements, all of that started to evolve. Again, baby steps. We didn't want to do anything too dramatic. And then we introduced Viva Tejas, which is one Saturday every month that we have a post-game event at Texas Live right next door, where we have some of the largest Hispanic acts come and play a post-game concert. And so it's a real celebration of baseball and culture. And so we've seen a really nice uptick in the attendance in these games. You can see in these photos, it's packed. Texas Live, literally each one of these events sets a new record for food and beverage for them. And they are literally turning people away due to the fire marshal. And then what we've seen in our business is we see for these Saturday games compared to the non-Viva games, we're seeing over a 5% increase in Hispanic ticket purchases. And we have a technology called Crowd IQ, which is facial recognition, all anonymized. It's not creepy facial recognition, but just to be able to understand age, race, those kinds of things, gender. And so we're seeing over a 5% uptick on those days. So we're seeing a real impact on our business on those Saturdays for those fans coming to the games and then staying for the concert afterwards. And then one of the insights, that we in working with our multicultural agency that we work with from time to time, Dieste, who's here local as well, is we know that these first and second generation Hispanic fans and members of the community, a lot of them are speaking English. They're consuming content in English, and then they'll speak Spanish, maybe back to parents, grandparents, relatives back home or in the household. But they're not watching Univision, Telemundo. They're watching what your general market stations and content is. And so one of the big things that we did this year in 22 was we did a Spanglish TV spot that we aired on our general market channels. And so we didn't put it on Spanish speaking channels, we put it on our general market channels. And again, a signal to, we get you, we understand you, we know what you're watching, what you're doing. We want you to see that we hear you and see you.
Bienvenido a casa. Here, we're more than just a team. Aquí somos una familia. En nuestra casa, we eat together. We're never thirsty. Siempre hay música, dancing, and whenever the family gets together, es una fiesta. So come, get comfy, porque aquí, nuestro home es tu home.
So again, the end is right in your face, right? Our home is your home. So we want you to know that you're welcome here all the time. And so this was a big moment for us. The first time we've done something like this. And again, kind of taking those steps, earning that right to do the next thing. So then in 23 came our Nike City Connect jerseys. And again, another opportunity for us to express our brand in a way that fans wouldn't expect and hadn't seen before. And so for those of you that aren't familiar, City Connect is a partnership with Nike, and it's really geared towards celebrating that connection the team has with their local city, or in our case, state, which was one of our big challenges. Like, how do we take a program called City Connect and translated to the Texas Rangers because we're not just Dallas or Fort Worth or Arlington, we're the entire state. And the real goal of City Connect from the league and Nike standpoint was to connect with that younger fan. So it was right in line with everything that we were doing. And so for our goal on this was, trying to create that brand in a fresh way, that intersection of kind of storytelling and history, but how can we connect that with our younger fan? And so you can see on the elements here, we chose to tell our origin story. Most of our fans and even front office didn't know how the Rangers got here. Like, we weren't a typical expansion team relocation. Like, it was years of work by Mayor Vandergrift to get this team here. And all of the professional baseball in Dallas and Fort Worth and Arlington all came together to lay the groundwork for the Rangers to be here. We wanted to tell through our uniforms, and we wanted to do that in a way that honored the past, of like the cream colors, and all of the scripting is all based off of like the Dallas Eagles and the Fort Worth Cats and all those teams that were before us. But we wanted to do it in a way that also would resonate with that younger fan. So how do you give a history lesson and make it interesting to a young fan was a really big challenge for us. Yes.
So this is meant as a question of interest, not meant to be a sensitive or critical one, but just curious about any negative synergies between some of the audience you're trying to reach and the objective history of the Texas Rangers, not the team, the namesake.
No, we
and so forth.
yeah.
It's been a big problem for northern teams. I was just wondering if that how you're coping with that
It hasn't been. There were a couple stories, that have come up since I've been there. People trying to make, the connection from us to the law enforcement agency. And a lot of our story goes back to like the synergies of 421, which is on the hat. 421-72 was the first home game that we had as the Texas Rangers. And that was actually there was a labor dispute that year. So we were supposed to have a first home game earlier than that. It got pushed to the 21st. Well, 421 is also San Jacinto Day for those Texans in the room. So that's, the day that really Texas won its independence. And then shortly after that, April 21st was the first recorded professional baseball game in Texas. And it was most likely, from what we can tell, like a celebration of the win at San Jacinto in this baseball game to commemorate that. But all of these things, and then what lined up even better was that we wear these on Friday nights, and our first Friday night home game in 2023 was on April 21st. So it was like this goosebump moment when we lined all this up. So that's why you see 421 on the hat. Like, it's a really important day for us, but it goes back to the history of Texas winning its independence, right? Which, depending on, what historian you talk to, could be controversial, and, like winning your independence or any other entity. But we haven't run into headwinds on that, which has been nice. We've really kind of tried to separate ourselves from the law enforcement agency and the team. So you'll see a couple of the pieces we did to celebrate City Connect. Again, kind of a different tone, a different style than we've seen previous.
First off, you better remember what that sign say before you come down here. Don't mess with Texas. Hey, see y'all from Texas, where we should ride swangers and put diamonds in our necklace. Pour drink inside my lemonade till it look like a Pepsi. See, I come from the D where we got checks and we be flexing. If you ain't from my state, then you should know, don't mess with Texas. Hey, this Texas tea is what I drink. Sauce Walker had us dripping, Sauce had then on drink. Young Nasa had us jigging, dipping, ain't know how to think. Now I got all these step and swipe and catch the plays. Hey. Don't mess with Texas.
This was fun. So one of our multicultural managers, really culture marketing for us, and our art director found this artist, which now he's blown up. It's called Big X the Plug. The Cowboys now use him. The Eagles, apparently one of his songs was their theme song. So he was like in the locker room with them after they won the Super Bowl, like singing and smoking cigars and everything else. But we were the first club that found this guy. He's a local rap artist. And he had this song. We had to get him to create a clean version of it for us. But it really, like, you go to a Cowboys game and they have the same song that'll play as one of their features as well. And so again, finding a fresh way, local artists, a lot of what we do, we try to do everything with Texas talent because we feel like that's authentic to us. And so this next piece really tells a story of the connection to the city and all of the diversity in our city.
Home. The place that matters most. Pitchers throw home. Runners race home. You can't win without going. This is our home. Dallas, Arlington, Fort Worth. In every street, in every suburb across the Metroplex, across Texas. These are our roots. But while our hometowns may define us, they do not confine us. We go out into the world. We dare to dream big dreams. We chase them down and make them reality. There's a power in knowing where you come from. And that wherever you go, you always represent home.
It's still one of my favorite pieces we've ever done. Yes.
Travis, I know that we have the other Texas team, Houston Astros. They're also probably targeting a lot of Hispanics and Mexicans. How do we compare in terms of the share of interest or preference for the teams?
Yeah, I don't know what their numbers are. They don't share those with us. But what we like to remind, again, why City Connect was so important. Like, we had a lot of people asking, City Connect, you're going to celebrate Arlington. It's like, no, we're the Texas Rangers. And you'll see that when we get a little later, like everything we do celebrates the honor that we have of wearing the state of Texas on our chest. So, we have, outside of this, probably 75, 80 mile radius around Houston, like our marketing territory, we can talk to the entire rest of the state of Texas. We've got Louisiana, Arkansas, Oklahoma, part of New Mexico as well. So they do a really nice job of marketing to that fan base as well. I don't have a comparison on the numbers.
Yeah, it's curious because in terms of brand value, you're very close. I think they are 2.6 or you're 2.4.
Yeah.
And but strangely, I mean, I remember the financials. So like 2024. I think they make to a 54 million operating profits and you made 12 million. I was curious, it's very comparable. What explains the difference? I don't know if you're into discussing those, but it'll be curious for our audience to know, how do you derive the value? And despite you're making lower income, you're probably valued the same. And also that debt in Rangers is higher, right?
Yeah, I mean, when we look at like the ATP, like the average ticket price of our Hispanic purchases, I think it's like $2 less than our average. Like they're spending, like their average ticket price that they're paying. They're not just buying like your less expensive tickets. We do have some like Mariachi Mondays, Viva Tejas, some of those offers, to incentivize. But we're seeing, I'll get to some of those stats later, but we're seeing a growth in the ticket purchasers, our registered users, which are the people that subscribe to our email list, the people that are actually in the ballparks. Like we're seeing growth in all of that. I think I'll get to the stat later, but like last year we saw a 7-figure increase in the ticket revenue just from Hispanic ticket purchasers, right? So we're definitely tracking all of that, kind of looking back to really comparing. I mean, when I got here was 2018, but really the 2019 season. But as you can see, like really 21, we started doing some things, but 22 was really in earnest. So it's like looking at that point to now, 21 forward, and where we can kind of see that growth. You're looking at, I'll hit this later, but 20% of the single game tickets purchased were by Hispanic fans. So it's a nice chunk. Now, they represent 30% of our community. So to me, there's at least another 10% there, right? That's out there for the getting. But man, I love seeing that at 20% and not like 7 or 8%, right? Like we're in the ballpark now of where we should be, that the Hispanic fans coming and buying tickets in our ballpark is comparable to the community, percentages, excuse me, as well.
Question for you. One of the things that I'm seeing and working with a lot of sports brands is probably the most mobile generation ever in terms of people not living in kind of like where they grew up. And I'm curious to know, what are you going and seeing of like kind of like national or even international representation of your fan base, and how are you having to adjust how you cater to them in this digital, people are living out of state era?
Yeah. I mean, obviously there's, if you're out of state, then MLB's got MLB TV. And so we're constantly trying to work with them to promote that to our displaced fans. But the mobile era is huge. I mean, we've been digital since we moved to the ballpark. We've been almost 100, now we're 100% digital tickets outside of very few exceptions. But when we moved in the ballpark, we went cashless, we went digital ticketing. And then if you look at the launch of Ranger Sports Network this year, that was a massive reason why getting away from the Diamond Sports Group and Valley relationship that we had was so important, that we could control our destiny there. So now we have a streaming option through Victory Plus, right? We've got over-the-air games, a minimum of 15 that'll be on CW33 here locally. We've got, if you're on DirecTV or Spectrum or Fubo and some of those providers, we've still got linear options, so your cable and satellite. And so that was a big piece for us, is that the streaming option through Valley was not like, when somebody, it's complicated, but essentially when somebody wants to have the streaming rights to your product but isn't going to give you any more money, in fact, they're going to give you less money.
Yeah.
Then the economics don't work out there. So that's where that was such an important decision for us. So yes, everything we can do, we're trying everything we can to get more people opt in for push notifications. We've got an SMS list that's a couple years old that's growing, massively for us. We're seeing really high returns on any sort of ticket offers we put out on SMS or MMS. So everything we're trying to do is to be more mobile, be more digital. You'll see in-game, more and more of our in-game pieces are going to be focused on trying to get the mobile device involved. But there's a balance there of, and my client was AT&T for 15 years. So like, I know that balance, and it's like, you want them to be digital, but you also want them engaged on the team, with the team on the field.
Yeah. And
it was one thing Cuban, when he owned the Mavs, was a big thing, is like, he wanted people not on their phones. He wanted them watching the court and being engaged. And so it's like, how do you find that, that balance of being innovative and digital, but also not everyone stands doing this. So, yeah. I'll go through these quickly, but just as part of City Connect, the Peagle was a big piece of the design, and that was this kind of mythical character that Nike created with us that was representative of the Dallas Eagles and the Fort Worth Panthers, and this kind of mythical coming together of these. And it's just, you've seen tattoos, it just took over like in a way that we never really expected that it would. And so it's just really fun to see that. And then as we fast forward into 24, one of the biggest representations of that is when we had the All-Star game. This All-Star logo was a beautiful representation of everything that is Texas. So it wasn't like a sheriff's badge or anything that's like super cliche, like we saw in 95, but it had, some very Texas pieces to it. But if you see the patterns and the colors and everything else, it really represented that infusion of the Mexican culture into what Texas culture is. So that was really important for us to kind of bring all dimensions of Texas together here. And then again in 23, we talked about the Peagle. We had a section, it's called section 133. It's out in center field, and we branded it the Peagle's Perch. And in 22, we'd had a couple groups come out A couple big groups that bought tickets here, and then one of our fan groups here in town called Rangers Nation. They started organizing these meetups in section 133, and there's beer snakes and chants and signs, and they're doing roll calls for the players. And so it's become this like kind of rowdy fan section. So we leaned into that, we branded it, and we actually have a ticket offer on Friday nights now that is encouraging people to come. And there's even a disclaimer on there that says, warning, you may or may not get wet in the making of a cup snake on here. So telling, like, if you're a family of 4, like maybe there's a different section you want to go sit in. It's not this one, but maybe you do want to sit here, but we're just going to tell you what you're getting into. And so we've really leaned into that, and it's been fun partnering with some of our influencers in town to really, kind of bring that to life. And so on those Friday nights, with those kind of organized nights, our percentage of 18 to 24-year-olds in the section is almost 10% higher than it is on a normal game, which is great. And the average age in the section is just under 32 years old, which is the youngest average age for any section in the ballpark. So our goal is, it'd be great if we can get the whole outfield to be the People's Purse. We're going to go with one section at a time, and then we're starting to see it overflow into 132. So we'll kind of see that, but our goal would be, how great would that be? Again, earning the right for that just organically grow. Another thing in 23 is we built off the mariachis. The broadcast caught them in a cutaway. This wasn't something that was planned, covering Higher by Creed, which was kind of the theme song from our championship run.
Let's make our escape, so let's hold it.
So this absolutely blew up online and went viral for us in a moment that just happened to be caught coming out of a commercial break on the broadcast. So you can see like the impressions, the views, the shares, and this was something that, really just kind of took our mariachis to the next level. But again, kind of showed that infusion of pop culture and culture. And multiculture. So was a really fun moment, and has really helped that grow. We also have our Los Rangers account, which up until last year was managed by MLB. What that was before was just a straight Spanish translation of our Rangers content. We took it over and we've transitioned it into really a celebration of the intersection of culture and baseball. And so it's really gotten a new identity, and this is what we launched.
We're from here. We're from Texas.
My name is Perfecto Sanchez. I'm from Fort Worth, Texas.
My name is Vincent Rodriguez. I'm from Rowlett. My mom's from Cuba and my dad's from here.
My name is Mercedes Mata and I'm from Texas. My name's Adriana and I'm from Mesquite, Texas.
Mi nombre es Francisco Islas, me llaman Paco. Soy de aquí de Fort Worth, pero mis padres originalmente son de Pachuca, Hidalgo.
¿Qué tranza? Soy Saúl Renovato, soy de San Luis Potosí, radico aquí en Dallas y me gusta bailar la cumbia.
Somos de aquí y somos de allá. Somos de Texas.
So I think about close to 30 years of doing this. This was the small piece that launched, our Spanish social channels, but probably one of the pieces I'm most proud of in my career, because we earned the right. If I'd done that in 2019, it would have felt like we were appropriating. We were trying to speak to an audience that we had ignored and, maybe not paid as much attention to. The fact that this was so well received, to me, is a validation of the fact that we had earned the right to put this piece of content out, that we had connected with this community enough for them to say, yes, we embrace this. And the fun little fact, the quinceañera, the girl in the blue dress, when we were out filming, she just happened to be there. There's a real popular site, the Margaret Hunt Hill Bridge, to take pictures. She just happened to be there taking her quinceañera pictures, and the film crew approached and said, "Hey, this is perfect. Would you like to be a part of this?" And so that was a complete ad lib moment that was just so organic and natural, but it made it even better because it's Texas and it's Dallas Fort Worth. This is something that actually was happening. So it's like this really like crazy moment of like creative and reality coming together and manifesting in the piece. So it was a really beautiful moment when that came together, which leads us to kind of where we're at today is our marketing campaign. Just launched, literally dropped today. So you're seeing this like literally fresh off the presses, but All for Texas is our marketing campaign. And obviously the word all is really important to us. And it's really celebrating the all that's the players, the front office, and the fans. And the fans having a critical role in who we are and what we do. And the word all, like really honoring the commitment of everybody and all of our fans. So when we think about the fans, what it takes to put together a world-class championship organization, we have to celebrate the fact that our fans are a big piece of this, and every one of them plays a role. If you think about the word for, just aligns, kind of connects all for in Texas, and the identities, the value, the essence of both the team and the state. And so that's what we love about how we represent is our clubhouse has a handful of guys that are actually from Texas, right? They're from all over the world, but they put that jersey on and everything they do is not only for the team that wears Texas, but the state of fans that are there every night rooting for them, either on TV or in the ballpark. And then obviously Texas, what we talked about, is both the team and the state. And the beauty of being able to represent the entire state is to embrace everything that goes with that. And so one of the things that we love about All for Texas is really not just a marketing campaign. It's really kind of an exaltation of who we are as an organization. We wanted to have this really be a statement of our identity. The loyalty in Texas runs deep. We want to capture that passion in a way that unites our players, our fans, and our entire organization. So how you're going to see that come to life is going to be multidimensional. And so it's going to be really fun that we'll be able to thread this through everything we're doing, both general market, Hispanic, multicultural, everything that we're doing with our young fans, our core fans, like this resonates with everybody. And so this is the piece that I think literally while I was driving here, dropped on social. And so you can kind of see everything that we've been doing, kind of leading up to this allowed us, there's like the perfect time to introduce a campaign like this.
We're Texas. So, of course, we play ball like Texas. We give our all to win game day. And that's not just our players and coaches. It's the front office, back office, side office, infield rakers, ticket takers, and day makers. It's the dot racers, rally cappers, flag wavers, and roof shakers. It's those who live and breathe red and blue. Like this guy.
It is, baby.
No, the other guy. Everyone has their own part, but the same reason. We do it all for Texas.
So again, we really wanted to kind of touch on our entire community, not only DFW, but the entire Rangers organization and everyone that has a role in building this organization and making this happen on the field. Again, each step along the way that we earned to get to something like this was critically important. And since 22, when we launched this, we've seen the results to match the business results to match the brand success as well. We've gotten younger, we've gotten more diverse, more diverse, but while not alienating that core fan base we talked about. So over some of the stats that we've seen, you know, that have proven this out is over 50% of Hispanics in the DFW area are Texas Rangers fans. So that's a 30% jump since 22, which is huge, right? 20% of our ticket purchasers are Hispanic, like I mentioned. Still feel like there's meat left on the bone, right? But it's a great place to be, and it represents almost 10% of our ticket revenue, right? So it's a really important piece. Last season was the highest number of tickets purchased by Hispanic fans. We have the most Hispanic season ticket holders we've ever had. And our registered users, which is our email subscribers, have increased. The Hispanic subscribers have increased 65% since 2018. So we're seeing real business results in that front. And then not only more diverse, but just younger. We're seeing the ticket purchasers are getting younger, as well as over half of those ticket purchasers we mentioned, over half of those Hispanic fans purchasing tickets are 18 to 45 years old. With the 18 to 25 specifically increasing by almost 40%, 3 to 20. So we're getting younger as well. As far as, like I mentioned, just youth across the board. We've had the youngest average age for new email subscribers since I've been here. So since 2018, like this past year was the lowest age average of new subscribers to our email list. And 18 to 25-year-olds had the highest increase in single game purchases since 2021. So of any of our age groups, the group that grew the highest, who's grown the most since 2021, is that 18 to 25-year-old fan. So we're getting them to the ballpark, we're getting them to realize that we're not just their parents or their grandparents' version of the Texas Rangers. Our brain health has gotten stronger each year. We just recently, this past year, completely overhauled our fan segmentation, which all of this work allowed us to have a much more robust fan segmentation. And rolling that out, we're already one of the highest, have one of the highest return on ad spends in Major League Baseball. And so this increased segmentation will only improve on that as we can target much more strategically. Again, we've achieved diversity and dimension, but we've stayed relevant to our core. Again, by earning the right. It's really important to us to earn the right to do each one of these things, which creates a win-win-win, right? It's a win for us, it's a win for the organization, it's a win for our fans. So that's all I've got. Any questions?
So I'm with Kantar, and we talk a lot about that there's no such thing as brand loyalty. We're fickle pickles. We'll go to something else if it attracts us. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. Except for sports, where we stay and stay and stay. And I was up in Canada and we gave a presentation about this very thing, and crowd cheered. And then that night we went to a Maple Leafs game. They haven't won a title in 60 years, and the place was packed, and the fans looked as joyous as they do in your photo. Can you talk about like the role of winning? You guys won a title 2 years ago.
Yeah.
You have a big payroll, or you have a size more sizable than. And that's a topic in Major League Baseball, not to go too deep on that, but like, with the Dodgers and the Yankees, and they're spending so much, and so they're obsessed with winning. Their brand formula is we're winners and we'll win every year. Not every team can do that. Not every team wants to do that. And I think not every team needs to do that. What is winning to you? Or, brand building, brand generation?
Yeah, that's a great question. I will tell you that what winning does 2 years later is it makes all of our jobs harder because the bar of last year, where we were last year, even looking at opening weekend ticket sales, looking at our U-base, looking at our FSE, our full season equivalents, like looking at where our goals are for this year on ticketing and revenue. Like last year really bumped up early because people were on the high and we didn't perform how we wanted to last year. So the second half of the year kind of corrected back. But what we saw last year, especially with an all-star game, winning plus an all-star game, we were the first team in the modern era. I think the only other was like 19, I think it was 23, was the Yankees. The only other team that were defending champion who were hosting an all-star game. So we had the beauty of like going out to season ticket prospects and saying, hey, you get postseason priority and you get all-star priority. And so their ability to renew and get new clients was, it was a lot easier, right? This year, there's a little bit more work trying to chase some of those back that maybe are on the fence. But we've had, the great part is the core of this team, like we started seeing from 23 on, the creative, like most of those guys are still on the team. There's a couple that aren't, but you've got a core that's here. You've got a GM, team president that fans believe in. Not to throw shade on the Mavericks, but like what the Mavericks Luka situation did for teams like us and the Stars was that like just being kind of your steady, methodical, well-run ops group. Like Chris Young was already very well respected and Jim Nill on the Star side. But what you started to hear is people like, wow, like I really appreciate the fact that they're just doing all the things that they should do and all those little things that build championships. And so, when you have success, the nice part about it is like, you look at this roster, you look at this organization. This wasn't a Marlins from several years ago where it was like a big sell-off afterwards or a big turnover. So I think our fans believe that while we had that success in 23, that it's not fleeting, that it's sustainable. This year, we'll be back to that 23 level. So it really does. The energy in the building, for people who've been fans of this brand, we always used to joke, like it was kind of a phrase that you would hear people say. It was like, that's so Rangers. Like, oh, they, the 2011 game 6 is like, that's so Rangers. Like we get so close, then we come back and take the lead, then we lose it again. And then the rain the next day pushes the game and the Cardinals get to reset the rotation. And it was like, that's just so Rangers. It's just us. That's just lovable losers. Like we're almost there, can't get there. Well, what 23 did was it kind of reset that expectation. And what I love is we were bold enough in 22 to kind of say the next 50, like there were pieces we did that talked about unfinished business. Like the last 50 years was great, but we haven't reached the ultimate goal, right? And now we have. And so now you always have that. Like I always have this. Sorry. Always have this. We always have the trophy, and that's part of our legacy now. So it puts you in a different atmosphere, right? Yeah, and so the brand elevates with that. I fully believe that. And last year, being able to put our brand like a gold tee on the hats, when we got to wear our gold jerseys, the gold trim jerseys, like that gold tee, I got to see it before we had won. They sent us all these samples ahead of time, of course, like, hey, if you guys win the World Series, this will be your hat. And I'm literally like, I feel like I'm like Lord of the Rings. I'm like looking at it in a box and it's glowing at me. And I have it, tucked away in a cabinet in my office, and I would just go and look at it during the World Series and then put it back. And so instantly, obviously, that just became my favorite Rangers hat of all time because you earned that, right? But yes, being able to put our logo beside the world champion logo, all of that, absolutely. And we saw that in brand health. We saw kind of our affinity, likelihood to recommend, all of those as we compared, some of those metrics against, the other teams in the market. We started to see some separation, on certain metrics there. So it absolutely elevates the brand. Yeah. Yes.
I'm gonna actually ask a question that's kind of, I would say, it's continuing to circle the room, not at just this event, but I would say going back at least 6 MASB occasions. What you're demonstrating, in my opinion, should be like the default practice for corporations. Okay,
Customer centricity.
and yeah, customer centricity, metrics management, recognition of where the brand plays a role versus where the community versus the ecosystem. What do you think is the gap? Because you've been on the business side, right? Like you're working with AT&T for 15 years. Like what's missing, do you think, in the business domain that this is not happening?
It's a great question. And it's funny because as I was putting this presentation together, I was talking to our VP of Creative, who I worked with in my old agency. So he and I go back, 15 years together. I said, the next presentation we need to put together is like the importance of the fan being a part of your brand and your campaign. And that's what All for Texas is. But like to literally like not just speak to them and at them, but like with them, give them a role, give them an identity. And that's what I love so much about All for Texas. As you can see, there will be, so that was a 60, and there will be there were 3 different 30s that we're going to cut that'll probably primarily run digitally, but they can also run as like 30-second commercials. One will be just all about players and that version of all. One will just be all about fans telling that story. And then one will be about all the people you don't see behind the scenes that make everything happen organizationally. And so what we wanted to do was, we always try to include the fans in everything that we do, but this literally gives us like the template to say all is you as well as a fan. Like everything you do, every choice you make to wear a Texas Rangers hat in December when we're not even playing, to go out and buy merch at the ballpark, to put on a rally cap when it's the 8th inning and we're down by a run, or to start the wave or whatever it is, right? Like we see, and we ask the players about that in spring training, and some of that content will be coming out about, the importance of the fans and what it means to them, to see at Fan Fest and in the ballpark and spring training, these people that live and breathe your product. And so that's one of the things I feel really fortunate to do, is I get to market something that people are inherently passionate about.
Yeah.
And speaking on kind of the brand side, it's like, we always say, if we make a move or the team's not playing well, people are on social and they're upset, like I'm actually okay with that. It's when they stop caring that we haven't done our job. And so when you start losing and you start making moves and there's no needle move at all because people have just lost interest, then that to me is that's the sign that we haven't done our job. So I think you've got to speak with your fans and your customers, not at them.
So are you saying by omission that senior executive management at AT&T isn't willing to give up that kind of control?
I don't know if folks aren't willing to give up the control. I think our business is easier to do that because I get 81 chances to walk the ballpark, and it's like a focus group. I don't have to pay them, they're paying to be there, and I get to observe their behavior, and we really get to know our consumers. I think other brands like an AT&T, like they do a lot in that space, but you've just got so many messages, so many things you're trying to do, and inherently your product has to kind of, they're more of a commodity, right? So like you don't have that emotional attachment to your phone or your phone service as you might have to a sports team.
But the chief executive could go to an AT&T store and talk to customers, right?
Yeah, no, I believe that every brand out there should absolutely find a role for their customers, their clients, and their brand, and make it abundantly clear that who they are as a brand represents who the people are who are consuming or buying their merch. Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent.
Yeah, thank you.